Welcome back to another week. My name is Derek. Today I'm going to cover a couple of the videos that I made last week, along with some of the things to come. So let's get started. Last week I started by reviewing the channel Edgar I Repair. He's a great YouTuber that has a wonderful channel in Spanish, Edgar I Repair, and it has got amazing content. You kind of need to know Spanish in order to really be able to follow along to that channel, but he does have the English one, which is what we covered, and he's got some really good content. So I highly recommend checking him out if you haven't already and subscribing. Last week I also did kind of a part 2 and part 3 covering an iPhone SE3 that took a swim in a lake for a few days. And I went through the process of diagnosing and troubleshooting and fixing all of the water damage so that we could recover the data. And at the end of part 3 was successful at getting it to function, not only to recover the data, but actually recover the whole device entirely. And finally, on Friday, I did a video on replacing a MacBook display, showing the entire process step by step. But it wasn't just the display, it was the LCD panel only, along with the IC transfers. Now, I did have a comment stating that after the Sequoia iOS, they didn't believe that the IC transfer was necessary. And although technically you can get away with replacing the displays without transferring the ICs, there are certain things that you lose. And I wanted to talk about those real quick, so I wrote them down. First, why do unpaired displays still work? It's because Apple does not lock the displays from turning on, and the MacBook will still output the displays because the panel's basic signal works universally. The backlight and T-Con communicate using standardized protocols, and the Mac OS falls back to generic color profile when the pairing data is missing. So you'll still get image and brightness, but not the advanced functions like True Tone. True Tone does not work. True Tone requires calibrated color, temperature, and brightness values stored and paired on the EEPROM. Without that IC, the system can't retrieve the white point balance, ambient light module table, and the temperature shifting profile. So that checkbox will be missing in the system settings. But you still have the ambient light sensor, but the screen brightness changes are less smooth, the color correction is not applied, and the brightness stepping can feel digital instead of natural. And this is because the ALS LUT, the ambient light lookup table, is also stored in that chip. I could go on in more detail about that. That being said, transferring over the IC, if you have the ability to do it, is definitely going to be better in my opinion for the device. It isn't necessary if you're just looking for functionality. I also had a comment from last Monday's videos requesting that I go over like Nintendo Switches that won't charge and won't turn on. So one of the videos this week is going to be diving into basically all of the things that you run into with Nintendo Switches that won't charge and won't turn on. And I'm going to go over the scenarios and solutions that I see all the time. So look out for that video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments below if there's something that you'd like to see in a future video. Thanks a ton for watching. We'll see you in the next video.